What's up, everybody? It's Carpo again, and I'd like to talk a little bit about humor. And I'm hoping I can cover this in a relatively short period of time, but I know my videos tend to run long, and I know that a lot of people get distracted and, like me, probably have a short attention span. But I think this is an important video. Humorless people suck. I'm sorry to say that. I don't mean to offend anyone, especially people out there who may not have a sense of humor. I don't mean they suck as people, I just mean they suck to be around. And I think that humor is very much overlooked by a lot of people as a majorly important factor to look at when interacting with those around you. And I think that people's fear of laughing at absurd things comes from, in the modern day, from this whole idea that you can't tell any offensive jokes, and but that's just a modern, revelation that has come through time. But in the past, say in the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, as manners became, especially over in Europe, in some of these hoity-toity, fancy houses where it was all about properly setting out your utensils and using the right spoon for soup and whatnot. People were trying to kind of escape the reality that we're animals. Animals that think, creative animals, but we're animals. So we were trying to escape that by giving ourselves manners, and the reality is that along with that kind of came a fear of laughing at things. It was people take it very seriously. And so the question I'm asking here is, what is funny and why? For me, it's not about laughing at other people. It's just about being able to laugh at any situation. And sometimes that includes stereotypes and jokes about other cultures, other beliefs. And it seems like today there are certain things that are off limit to talk about, but others that are, totally open. In other words, the people you can't make fun of anybody who's oppressed or has had issues, but any other group that may be doing well can be attacked. And so this creates kind of a tension among people about what is funny. Okay, and I'm trying not to get off subject here, but life is absurd. And if we can't laugh at it, then we're not looking at the big picture. And it's important to step back. I did read this article once about Roosevelt, how he'd lay with somebody under the stars, and they would look up and point out the Andromeda galaxy, talk about how big it was compared to our own. And one of them said, "All right, we're small enough now, we can go to bed." And I think that that's the idea, is to realize your insignificance in the big picture. Now, if you're a religious-minded person, this of course isn't going to fly, because you believe that you're here for a purpose and then you go to heaven, so you obviously have a different view of what this life is about. You might take it more seriously. And religion has created a lot more seriousness in a lot of people. I'm not going to get into that aspect of it at all here. I just want to talk about mainly laughter. If you can't laugh at yourself, then there's something wrong with you, and you need to fix it. And I'm just saying this from the heart. I mean, I believe that we go through life believing that happiness comes from achieving things or doing new things. People continue to always look for the next fix for that happiness. But if you learn to laugh, you can be happy with where you're at and who you're with. And I've read articles of people say that there's different genes that are responsible to why some people laugh out loud and why others don't. Some people do take laughter too far in humor, and they actually use it as kind of an escape tool. And I'd like to just put that out there right now. Some people, the class clown types, if you can't be serious and have humor, then you're missing that component of it. So that's what it's about to me. It's about being able to laugh, but also being able to be serious when it's important, and not just laugh at things because you're uncomfortable around them, if you see what I mean. Now here's the most fascinating thing that I found. Before I made this video, I was reading a couple articles, and one of them was about why people in Russia don't ever smile. And it was written by a Russian girl who came over here with her parents, and she noticed how in the pictures, family pictures, the kids might be told to say cheese and smile, but the parents would never smile. And how a lot of Russian pictures and a lot of European countries over there, people just never seem to smile. And what I found out was that it's cultural. Over there, smiling and laughing by a lot of people is seen as stupidity or foolishness. I found that pretty fascinating, and I thought, man, that's a major takeaway point for people to realize how different cultures really are. In some cultures, it's seen as a sign of corruption because officials will smile and rip you off, or people who pretend to be your friend, and you know. So what it's done is it's taken all those years, you know, thousands, millions of years of evolution, which have created a way for us to interact and laugh. Obviously, laughter is an important part of being a human, or we wouldn't have it. And we've turned it around and made it something to be feared. And in a lot of countries, it's that way. And I was reading, some of these Russians said they were amazed when they came to America and found that people smiled at them. But if you're an American, you might hear the same thing. Oh, well, people in America never smile at each other. They never wave. They never care. It depends on your perspective. And, you know, so it's important to see that. It's all perspective. But, you know, the meaning of a true laughter has never changed, you know. It's something that helps us to cope. Now that we have even scientific evidence to show that it relieves stress and releases serotonin, it helps us to actually be happier. Did we need science to tell us that? Hell no. But anybody who's never laughed or doesn't laugh often probably doesn't realize how valuable it is. So it's funny, I did read one article, and don't be offended by this if you're a woman. It was about why aren't women funny, and it was written by a woman. And this has been an issue in the past, and she was saying, well, women through history haven't need to make anybody laugh. It's not their thing. They laugh at, you know, what they find funny. My wife laughs, but one of the most important goals of a lot of guys is to find a woman they can make laugh. And you hear a lot of women say, oh yeah, he's funny. And it was really interesting to hear them, the way they said that through history, men have always been the ones that needed to impress the women. And because of that, making a woman laugh eased her tension. And if you can do that as a man, then, you know, you've got it. You're like, all right, I can make her laugh. And that for some reason is an important thing. I wanted to look at the historical and genetic reasons, the mating reasons through thousands of years past, you know, before we had civilization. How did this evolve and become what it is? How important is laughter in our lives? So, realizing that we have different mental processes, the men had to impress the women, but the women were like, whatever, I've got the final say. I'm the one who has the baby. So, anyway, it was just something interesting. Yes, men and women have different processes and the way that we process information. So, the last few notes I wanted to make. If we're in fear, then we miss humor and withdraw. And a lot of people who are fearful because they hear all this bullshit on the media about how everything's falling apart and we're all dead and everybody's out to get us, they're afraid that laughing at anything, you know, it makes them it makes them an idiot or stupid. They're like, how can you laugh at a time like this? Look at all this crazy stuff going on. And even some people have said that, hey, it's even the millennial generation right now is far too serious. And after looking into this for so long, I'm starting to agree. It's like, but serious for different reasons. Not taking the self too seriously, but taking society too seriously. Yearning to be noticed, and therefore making big deals about little things, or getting really upset about things that could be handled in a different way. Not being able to laugh at the absurdity of the situation, because sometimes laughter is the best medicine. But it's not a millennial issue. It's an issue for all of us. You know, it's not. It's just that the younger generation has a chance to start laughing. Before you think you have a good sense of humor, I'd like to ask one thing: can you laugh at yourself or just others? And I think that's an important takeaway point. A lot of people think, "Oh yeah, I'm funny. I like to laugh," but maybe all they know is jokes that, you know, put other people down. That's something only the individual can ask themselves. Laughter has to come from the heart, and being able to laugh on the spot out loud is not a sign of stupidity. I think it's a sign of intelligence. So check your relationships if you want to know if you're funny, because nobody's going to determine that for themselves. Hopefully I covered the basics that I wanted to, and I don't think I said anything that's offensive or would bother anybody. I may even come across serious a lot of the time, but I love to laugh. I love to laugh, even at the most absurd things. And one of the beauties is, of all my years of laughing at other, you know, especially with some of the shows like South Park or Family Guy that poke fun at cultural issues, once in a while one comes along that's a affects me. Like, oh, well, now they're talking about, pot smokers or this or that. If I can't laugh at myself and my own culture, and my own, upbringing and my own groups, then I have no right to laugh at others. You have to be able to laugh at the self. Laughing at jokes, I'd just like to say one final thing for anybody who might not understand this. Laughing at jokes which deal with race, gender, a variety of different, what you would call offensive jokes. The people who laugh at those are not necessarily racist or sexist. And that has to be said. When I was 9 years old, I got this book. It's called, I don't even know where it went now, but it was called Outrageously Offensive Jokes. And I found it in my parents' bookshelf. I think I was about 9 years old. And it's about that thick, and it had, the first whole chapter was about black people. And then there was one about Jews. I at the time didn't even know what a Jew was. I didn't even know what half the terms were in this book, but I read it. And I remember growing up later and thinking of how offensive they really were. But then remembering all the jokes that I'd heard through the years that even laughing at all these jokes, never became a sexist or a racist. It was being able to laugh at the differences between us, I guess. So this video already turned into longer than I intended, so I'm going to end it there. Laughter. It's a good determining factor to whether or not I'd like to spend time with someone. And sometimes it might even determine whether you can trust someone. But the interesting thing is that in my culture, I might not trust somebody who can't laugh, while somewhere in Europe, they might not trust somebody who does laugh. What do you think? Take care. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Your support is what keeps this channel alive after all these years, and I appreciate all of you. If you enjoy varied content about anything and everything, hit the subscribe button for more. I won't burden you with ads or try and sell you crap you don't want through influencer marketing. I do this for the love, but if you do want to support my channel, you can visit me at Patreon at Carpo719. All Patreon supporters get free downloads of each video in podcast format. Comments are like currency. Your opinions and ideas help everyone who may read them. I welcome all discussions and respectful discourse, which I believe helps us all lead better lives through understanding. Be well, my friends. Take care.